Hello there. So more information is emerging on the Nigel Farage bank cancellation issue. And a big scandal too. Now we have a bonus item for you at the end of this video, something that we're hoping to make a regular feature going forwards, where we can. The one thing to come out of this Farage banking issue is the apparent targeting of those businesses who take payments in the form of cash. Now, why would that be? Nigel Farage had been planning a 2 to 3 week break while he mulled over his banking situation, having been told by his bank, Coutts, that they will be closing down both his personal and business accounts, with no explanation. After which, 9 banks later, Farage still can't find a bank that will deal with him. But there is a big scandal that has come out of all of this, and more on that in a moment. Anyway, Farage cut his break short and was back on air again last night with another update on his banking situation. However, earlier yesterday he did say in a video that although many other politicians had experienced difficulties with their banks, at least they were able to secure a bank account, whereas he can't. And that is the massive difference between us, he said. And he puts this down to a combination of his status as a politically exposed person, or PEP, as well as the fact that he was the whistleblower that started off a tide of people coming forwards and telling the world they were also cancelled by their banks. This has made banks wary of dealing with him, Farage said. Now, not only has the Chancellor, Remainer Jeremy Hunt, fallen foul of the EU directive-based PEP regime by having an application for an account with Monzo Bank rejected, we now hear that Ken Clarke, the man who wanted Westminster to be a mere EU council chamber, also had problems with American Express. Now, Farage is also taking advice on one shocking aspect of this affair. And that is how footloose and fancy-free Coutts appears to have been with his data when allegedly talking to the BBC, where the broadcaster said the bank had informed them that Farage no longer met the minimum wealth threshold to hold an account with them. Although it now turns out that quite a few of their account holders don't meet that threshold either, and have never been queried on it by the bank itself. Something that Simon Jack, the BBC reporter who broke the story, openly acknowledged. Quite why a bank thinks ethically or legally they can discuss anything about my financial affairs with the BBC and a wider audience is totally and utterly beyond me, and I am taking advice on that as we speak, said Farage. But the big scandal was the number of people emailing Nigel Farage to say their accounts had also been shut down. And on this, Nigel said that his email box had shown him that the number of small businesses who have been closed down in the course of the last couple of years have got one thing in common. Everything from the local window cleaner to pawnbrokers. Anybody involved in cash businesses have been losing accounts because they're suspected of being money launderers. The whole thing is outrageous. They just get a letter saying we're closing your account. Most of them, I'm pleased to say, have managed to find alternatives. But one or two are genuinely struggling, Farage said. And as he said, the law needs to be changed to protect ordinary people out there doing their best to just earn a crust. And then in his 7 p.m. broadcast on GB News, Farage talked about the scandal of the thousands of business accounts that have been closed down already this year. And as already pointed out, this was mainly the accounts of those that handle cash payments. Now the argument is that to protect themselves from handling laundered money, it's easier and safer for the banks to just shut cash-based business accounts down. But to me, this sounds like a form of conditioning to get all the traders out there to use trackable digital payment methods instead of cash. This is a war on cash, because you can't control people who use cash. And further, it sends out a nudge-type signal to prepare us to do as we're told and obey whatever social values we're told to conform with, or face becoming a financially cancelled non-person. And with controllable central bank digital currencies coming fast down the track, you can see where that will lead. After all, the final destination for us, as decided by the WEF and UN types, is a society that obeys and self-censors and never ever argues, all because the people would rely totally on the state for access to their own money. The state will have taken control of all your money and how you can spend it. Now, Farage also served subject access requests on the major banks and financial institutions to find out exactly what information they had on him, his world compliance profile. A subject access request is basically a demand that the organisation must divulge all of the information they have on the person sending the request. And anyone can use this on any organisation. And it seems they had on file things like Guardian newspaper clippings, details of his disputes with Brussels while he was an MEP, as well as a very long list of family members, associates and friends who must also be treated as PEPs. Now I have to ask again, why is this continuing now that Farage has left public office? Surely that should have been stopped by now. Now, at the end of the day, this is all about killing off cash and moving people willingly onto the controllable central bank digital currency system, at which point you lose control over the fruits of your labours. The state or the establishment will be deciding on what basis you can spend your own money, and that is tyranny. Now, a lot of people have been asking me what my take on this BBC presenter scandal or alleged scandal is. And I have to say I'm glad I haven't talked about this so far, because it all gets murkier and murkier by the day. And unlike many people who claim to know who the presenter is, I haven't got a Scooby's who it is. And I don't believe anything that comes out from behind the BBC facade or out from behind its statue either. In fact, I don't trust any of the mainstream media outlets. And talking of no trust in the system, let's go over to a song written and performed by Richard. Take it away, the all-singing eye.
Media stars and celebrities, paragons of virtue, we're told, but their lives don't match the morals they spout, yet their lies are increasingly bold. Now I sit down and turn on the TV just to see what the masses believe. Another expert tells us we must panic. They can fool everyone except me. Sycophant journalists and politicians, His Majesty's finest and all. A knighthood for the perverts that keep him in place. Don't forget, pride comes before a fall.